Good evening. It is Wednesday, August 12th, 2026 at 6 p.m. I'd like to call this meeting to order. At this time, I'd like to remind everybody to silence their phones, and please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Item number 3 is public comment. I'd like to remind everybody that all public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person. Is there any public comment at this time that is not related to any new business items that will be discussed tonight? Yes. Please come on up and join us. Feel free to sit at the front table here, and then on the mics, yes. On the bottom of the microphone is a red microphone. If you can touch that microphone and tell us your first and last name and your address, please. Tell us your name and address for the record.
Michelle Anderson, for the record. If I speak now, do I have the opportunity to speak later?
You can speak anytime we ask for public comment.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And Michelle Anderson, what is your address, please?
It is 3355 Beverly Drive.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I was not.
You have started your time.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Anderson. First, I want to thank you all for being here tonight and for giving the community an opportunity to speak. I wanted to bring up something that I think could be a pretty simple way to improve communication between the county and our community. Right now, public notices are published. I'm sorry?
All meetings are being recorded, so she's just trying to get the technical issue handled. Thank you.
Right now, public notices are being published in the newspaper as required, but the reality is a lot of people simply don't read the newspaper anymore. That means residents may never see notices about zoning changes, parcel maps, development proposals, workshops, or meetings until something is already pretty far along in the process. I'd like to ask the Planning Commission to consider recommending that in addition to the required newspaper notices, these notices also be posted on the county planning website and shared on the official county Facebook page. The same could be done for workshops, meeting notices, agendas, and other opportunities for the public to participate. These are communication tools that the county already has, so we're not talking about creating an entirely new system. I think one of the frustrations we're seeing in the community is that people sometimes feel like they don't hear about something until the decisions are already being made. Whether or not that's actually the case, that's the perception, and that perception matters. Making this information easier to find would give people an opportunity to get involved earlier, ask the questions, and better understand what's happening in the community. I think this is a small change that could go a long way toward improving participation, communication, and trust between the county and the people who live here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment this evening? Seeing that there is none, we'll move on to item number 4, verification of the posting of the agenda.
The agenda, excuse me, the agenda was posted as stated on the agenda at all the locations and in accordance with NRS and Churchill County Code.
Thank you, Diane. Item number 5, verification of notification of all landowners in accordance with NRS and the Churchill County Consolidated Development Code.
All letters were sent to landowners as required in code.
Item number 6 is consideration and possible action regarding approval of minutes of the meeting held on July 8th, 2026 public hearing.
Madam Chairman, Jeff Goings for the record. I move that we approve the minutes of the meeting held on January 8th, 2026.
July.
July. Sorry.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. We have 6 voting this evening, 1 absent, so it'll pass 6-0. 7, item number 7 is old business. A is the update on Nevada Department of Transportation and DOT improvements to the highway, the commercial sidewalk, and the encroachments along the Reno Highway in Churchill County. I'll turn it over to staff at this time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Randy Hines, Public Works Planning and Building. Last month, we had a review of the SUP for the grid located on Williams Avenue. One of the conditions was the construction of sidewalk and an approach going into that site. It was always proposed to have, or NDOT has always proposed to put improvements from Allen Road to Coleman Road to bring it up to ADA compliance. We did meet with NDOT a few weeks back, and they said that that project is currently being designed, and they're anticipating to have the design done by the end of the year, and then hopefully going out to bid and constructing that next year. So just wanted to give you guys an update on that.
Wonderful. Thank you for your information. Item number 8 is new business. A, consideration and possible action regarding a home-based business special use permit application, SUP 26-17, filed by Dana and Barbara Hutchinson. The property is located at 1300 Latin Road, assessor's parcel number 010-581-27 in the E1 zoning district. The applicant proposes to operate a home-based sewing, tailoring, and craft business with occasional customer traffic. Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of the home-based business? Thank you. Please come forward and take a seat. You can sit at this one right here. Again, Randy's going to show you how to turn on the microphone. And once you get settled, if you can give us your first and last name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, and thank you. My name is Barbara Hutchison, and I'm one of the co-owners. Didn't realize my daughter already had an appointment in California, so she's out of town. And I'll answer any questions that you have.
Okay. Did you state your address for the record?
My address is 1300 Latin Road.
Wonderful. Thank you. I'll turn it over to staff.
Karina Nolasco, for the record, Churchill County Planning, SUP 26-17. The applicant is requesting to operate a home-based tailoring business offering tailoring, crafting, and sewing services. The hours of operation will be between 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. Services will be by appointment, limiting customer visits to drop off and pick up. Staff received no public comment. Staff is able to make all 5 findings. Therefore, staff recommends approval with conditions. I'm open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Karina. Was there anything you would like to add to what she stated?
Not at this time, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. I'll open up to the board for discussion. Seeing that there is none, can I entertain a motion?
Dennis Mills for the record. Based on the information provided in the application in the staff report and heard tonight, I move to find that the criteria found in Churchill County Code 1608-080H have been met and therefore approve with conditions the special use permit SUP 26-27 to establish a tailoring home-based business at 1300 Latin Road.
Madam Chairman, Jeff Goings for the record. I second that, but we may want to take some public comment, if there is any on that.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
We have a first by Commissioner Mills, a second by Commissioner Goings. Is there any public comment on this home-based business? Seeing that there is none, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? It'll pass 6-0. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you.
8, new business. Item B, consideration and possible action regarding a parcel map application PC 26-9 filed by JDLN Enterprises LLC. The property is at 9900 Carson Highway. Assessor's parcel number is 007-171-75 in the I-2 zoning district. The applicant has proposed to divide the parcel into 2 lots. Is there anyone here to speak on this behalf? Thank you. Please come forward, state your name, address for the record, and then we'll turn it over to staff. Just hit the microphone on the bottom of the base there.
Hello, my name is Augie Marisgrena, 9900 Carson Highway is the address.
Wonderful, thank you. I'll turn it over to staff. You want to turn your mic on? Thank you.
All right, Dan Kalon for the record, Churchill County Planning. We have application PC 26-9. The applicant is requesting to divide the 7.48 acre parcel into two parcels of 4.15 acres and 3.33 acres respectively. This is an industrial I-2 district. Minimum lot size for an infill development is 2 acres. Director has established that this is an infill development due to the 1 acre parcels immediately to the east and the fact that it fits into the Hazen Swingle bench area. Staff is able to make all of the required findings under code and meet the purpose articulated in the Division of Land Standards, and therefore recommend the Commission approve with conditions. I'm available if you have any questions.
Thank you, staff. Is there anything you'd like to add, sir?
No, I'm good.
I have one question in regards to the map. On the map, it's stating that you own all the property all the way around, but then also there was a comment at the staff meeting that actually Jared Card Trucking is somewhere in there. So is that parcel map correct on the north of parcel 1B and 1C stating that you own that property?
Yes, I own 5 acres to the north, that, and then Jared Card Trucking owns kind of where that black ends, that pavement ends. He owns that to the north of me, over to the west a little bit.
All right, perfect. So on the map where it states JDLN Enterprises LTD, that is your property right there?
Correct.
Okay. Anything else from the board?
Yes, Madam Chair. Jeff Goings for the record. Sir, I just want to make sure that you have read through, there's some conditions of approval, and you understand what those conditions of approval are and are fully aware that there are at least 3 or 4 conditions there?
Yes, sir. Read through 'em.
Any other comment from the board? Seeing that there is none, is there any public comment in regards to this item? Can I entertain a motion?
Madam Chair, Vic Ansotigi for the record. Based on the information provided in the application in the staff report and heard tonight, I move to find that the purpose and findings for regulating the division of land and imposing conditions outlined in Churchill County Code 16.12.010 and 16.04.050 have been met for the parcel map application PC 26-9 to create 2 industrial parcels at 9900 Carson Highway, assessor's parcel number 007-171-75, and therefore recommend the Board of County Commissioners approve with conditions the parcel map application.
Dennis Mills here, second.
We have a first on this item with Commissioner Ansotigi, a second with Commissioner Mills. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It'll pass 6-0. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, guys.
8, new business, item number C is consideration and possible action regarding a final subdivision map for Sand Creek Number 2, Phase 1, PC 26-10, filed with Casey Road LLC. The property is south of Casey Road. Assessors parcel numbers are 008-792-11 and 008-792-95 in the R1 zoning district. The applicant submits Phase 1 final subdivision map to implement the tentative map that was approved by the Board of County Commissioners on November 10th, 2025, and to create 25 lots. Is there anyone here to speak on this behalf? Thank you for coming this evening. If you can please state your name, address for the record.
David Crook, Loomis and Associates, 275 West Williams.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to staff.
Dan Kalon for the record, again, Churchill County Planning. PC 26-10, the applicant is requesting to implement the first phase of an approved tentative map. This phase has 25 parcels, along with the associated infrastructure improvements. And this was originally approved on a tentative map November 10th of last year. Staff is able to make all of the required findings. However, want to call out a couple of items in terms of the conditions of approval. One, lot 15 is currently not meeting code standard. This is in part due to the fact that we had a code change since the adjacent subdivision went in. We had a right-of-way requirement of 50 feet, and now it's 60 feet. And what this did was change the geometry in the corner of Eagle Rock Road, so that way it made it difficult in order to make the parcel sizes work. Staff is recommending a variance in order to take care of this issue. It could be either a full variance or a minor variance. Both are possible under code, and we'll let the applicant deal with how they want to treat that situation. And then the last condition that I want to call attention to is there is an abandonment, which is next on this application or agenda today, that is not going to be moving forward. Therefore, there is a condition related to completing that abandonment before recording the final map. And I'm available for any questions if you have any.
Thank you, staff. Is there anything you'd like to add, Mr. Lewis? Mr. Crook, I'm sorry. Let me correct that. I'm reading your shirt and hat. All right, is there anything else from the board? Any questions in regards to the subdivision map, the variances, or also we will be postponing item number D to September? Seeing that there is none from the board, is there any public comment on this item? Seeing that there is none, can I entertain a motion?
Dennis Mills for the record. Based on the information provided in this application and the staff report and heard tonight, I move to find that the purpose and findings for the division of land and imposing conditions outlined in Churchill County Code 16-12-010 and 16-4-050 have been met for subdivision PC 26-10. To implement the first phase in approved tentative subdivision and create 25 new parcels at assessor parcel numbers 008-792-11 and 95, and therefore recommend the Board of County Commissioners approve with conditions the subdivision application.
Second.
I have a first from Commissioner Mills, a second from Commissioner Goings. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? It will be forwarded to the Board of County Commissioners. Thank you for your time this evening. 8, new business, item number D, as stated, will be postponed to Wednesday, September 9th, 2026, which will move on to item number 8, new business E, consideration and possible action regarding a zone change application, ZC 26-2, filed by Mary Heapy of Arcadius, Inc. for Rivian. The property is located on the Lovelock Highway, Highway 95 North. Assessor's parcel number is 004-431-44 in the RR-20 zoning district. The applicant proposes to change the zoning from RR20 to I3. There is somebody here to speak for Rivian. They are joining us via GoToMeeting, and they're here to answer any questions. I'll turn it over to staff.
Dan Kalon, Churchill County Planning for the record. I have zone change 26-2 before you today. The applicant is requesting to change a 218.57 acre parcel from rural resource or RR20 to heavy industrial I3. This site is remote. It's 7 miles south of Trinity Junction. The applicant intends to establish destructive battery testing. This is because RR20 does not permit that, and I3 allows it with a special use permit. Staff is able to make all of the required findings under the development code. Since we have an audience, I'm going to go through all of the findings in detail. So the first finding is the proposed amendment is in substantial compliance with and supports the goals and policies of the master plan. Staff has found that 9 goals and policies are affected by this application, and it conforms with the master plan in that regard. This is in a master plan category area of industrial. This is an area that the county has decided is where we want industrial. It's located far away from everything else in the county. The closest use is, I believe, a gravel mine about 2 miles north. Then the next closest use is the Navy bombing range, and that's about 11 miles away. And then Kennemetal is about 13. The closest residential use, and I'm going to state use as in residentially zoned property as in A10, is 17 miles south on 95. So it is quite a long ways away from anything, as you can see on the master plan land use and growth management plan before you. We're up in that yellow area towards the top, smack dab in the middle of that. So this is in full conformance with the master plan as it is currently written. Second finding is the proposed amendment will provide land uses compatible with the existing adjacent land uses and will not have detrimental impacts to the other properties in the vicinity. There are no uses established in the vicinity adjacent on any of the parcels around there. Like I said, the closest use that has been established is a mine about 2 miles away. I drove up there about a month ago. I didn't see a house for about 10 minutes away driving up 95. There's not much close by, and it's not going to detrimentally impact anything. And then the third finding, the proposed amendment will not negatively impact existing or planned public services or facilities and will not impact public health, safety, or welfare. So this is adjacent to, and it abuts 95. It also abuts Pole Line Road. So there is both legal and physical access to this site. Otherwise, there are no planned facilities in this area, and the zone that is being asked for a change here is I3, heavy industrial. Our code defines that as the purpose of this district is to provide for heavy industrial uses and land uses that have the great potential for impacting adjacent land uses and infrastructure. This type of zoning should be located away from people and other non-industrial uses, and uses within it may have to develop their own access to the roadway and or railway transportation systems. Fundamentally, this type of zoning is intended for places that are remote and do not have access to normal services. Therefore, the remoteness is the point here, and it does not impact any public facilities or services. As for the impacts to public health, safety, or welfare, public health is and safety are dealt with by the fact that there is still good, clear access to the site along US 95 that allows for fire and emergency access if anything happens on this site, so that way it doesn't impact neighbors, or at least impacts them within reason, so that way we can take care of any fires or anything that goes on there and evacuate people who are injured on the site. Public health, this is, as I stated earlier, very far away from anything. It's 17 miles away from the closest residentially zoned use. Generally speaking, the wind blows things towards the bombing range. So there's very little public health concern at this point. Any health concerns are dealt with at the site-specific review in terms of a conditional zoning permit or a special use permit, which goes before this board. And welfare. Fundamentally, this is an industrial use being proposed in a place where we want industrial and will generate income and revenue for the county. So staff is able to make all three of the required findings and therefore recommends that the commission approve this application. I'm available for any questions, though I do want to make one final note here. What we are looking at here is a zone change. What this is dealing with is changing the menu of what uses are permissible within a specific district. The RR20 district is basically painted across the entire county because we have lots of areas where there's nobody, and it's federally owned. It's kind of the broad brush paint strokes we allow for things like mineral extraction. An I3 zone change, as proposed here, is going to add potentially 33 new uses. This is the list of all the types of uses. They are generally speaking industrial, dealing with warehousing, manufacturing, explosive and combustive materials testing, auction houses, restaurants, towing businesses, all of these things that are out here on this list. All of these new uses require a conditional zoning permit, which is going to allow for staff to provide conditions when we actually see a site plan, or a special use permit, which, again, staff will be reviewing the application, providing conditions, and it goes to the board to make or the planning commission in order to make a decision. So I just want to make it clear that this is changing the restaurant that you're going to and what you can pick from the menu, as opposed to allowing for a specific use to be established. All of these uses still need entitlement through the special use or conditional zoning process. And now I'm available for any questions if you have any.
Thank you. I do have a question for you, but this time I would like to turn it over to Rivian and the representative that is here to introduce yourself and add anything to this that you would like, please.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. Lindsay Young with Rivian Real Estate. So second everything staff just went through with respect to the rezoning application. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I also took a drive out to the site, and it's a beautiful country, but very, very vacant and peaceful, I'll put it that way. So anyway, just wanted to add that, but thank you all for having us.
Thank you. I do have a question for staff with all the information that you did put forth. Can you show us on a map where is the other I-3 in conjunction to this RR20 that you're asking for a zone change on? Where is the closest I-3?
It's north of Trinity Junction, and Diane, can we pop up the map again?
Go back to Diane. Oh, no, you can go to that one, I guess.
It's not on this one, it's further north. What we have. So we have the closest, which is the dynamite storage facility, is up, I think, here. Is that helpful?
So there is no other I-3 south of I-80 at this time,
Oh, there's also Kennemetal down in here.
and they're I-3?
They are I-3.
Okay.
We have our most recent I-3 changes, which are over.
And to add to that, there's a couple other parcels I recall around Kennemetal that are industrial as well.
Yeah, there are about 3 or 4 right in.
So I-3, with being Kennemetal being the closest to town, is approximately how many miles to get on record, please?
5?
5 miles
Yes.
is the first I-3. That any of those lists that you stated could actually go in there and open a business.
That is correct.
Thank you.
I
I'll
believe
turn
it's
it-
about 5 miles if you're going out on 50 as well.
Okay, wonderful. And I do want to remind the board, we're here only for a zone change, nothing to do with all the information you gave was just additional information. Thank you.
Dennis Mills for the record. Dan, just to clarify, for example, I see in the data packet that you guys provided for us that the Nevada Department of Wildlife was asked for input, and one of the comments they made was, they basically said no comment. I assume that's, again, because this is just a zoning change. If we later have an application for specific use, then we would expect NDOW to weigh in if they have any wildlife
That
concerns.
is exactly
Okay,
correct.
thank you.
Madam Chair, Jeff Goings for the record. One more question. Seems to me, even with these new I-3, I-2, I-1 designations, we have a setback as well from the 95 corridor, correct?
We have a setback for particularly noxious uses. So these include, I believe, brothels, explosive battery and destructive testing, explosive manufacturing, and I believe junkyards and landfills. So they have a half-mile setback from the road.
And to help the public understand more, with the RR20, what is allowed in the RR20?
I'm going to just be upfront with you. There's a lot of things that are allowed in the RR20. I don't know all of them offhand. Generally speaking, we're dealing with things like grazing, mineral extraction, geothermal, potentially solar, renewable generation for specifically solar. I'm making this distinction because we split out solar specifically in our code. And generally speaking, things like houses and other things. Very rural type uses that allow us to have extractive industries where they make sense.
Madam Chair, if I can add some more comment on the RR20. As you can see here, the green all around town, again, that's the A5, A10, those are the ag zones. Of course, we have the city of Fallon, which is there. And then we've got commercial, C1, C2, and some industrial going down 50. And then a little bit of ag north of town, right? And like it was stated earlier, the RR20 is almost kind of a catch-all zone for everything else, right? Because again, a lot of it is vacant land. There are some things out there, and RR20 has some uses. And these folks here that are requesting the zone change, the use that they want to do, which they put in their application, is not allowed in the RR20. Hence why they're asking for the zone changes to get it so they can do their use in the area that they're in.
Anything else from the board? Joe?
Madam Chair, Joe Frey for the record. Reading out of the county's master plan, Rural Resource District RR20. The purpose of this district is to protect and enhance every natural resource, including historical and archaeological sites, by limiting, controlling, and prohibiting specific uses of land. So I hope that clarifies that is the purpose of Zone RR20. So I believe, for my fellow members to consider, is that what we need to do out there, or is this more suited for an industrial setting, or are we trying to protect and preserve something out there that's archaeological, historical, natural, et cetera?
I mean, we can add, again, also in the master plan, there's those industrial areas that are designated in there as well, and this is within that industrial area that has been designated in the RR20 area.
Madam Chair, Jeff Goings for the record. I'd like to just also state here that Planning Department has done a remarkable job of going through, and we had many workshops that were open to the public. This has gone through this board at least twice, as well as through the county commissioners. And this is exactly what the community has been begging for as we sit here and listen to the applicants that come to us with questionable industrial applications. This is what the community's been asking for. Push it north. Get it out of town. Get it out of town. So that is what this I-3 was set up for, was to move these types of industries north and away from the residential, away from the agricultural, out where nobody had to mess with them, and they were along a pretty useless piece of ground. And I don't want to call it useless, but really, there's no grazing much happening out there. There's no mining going on, much of anything. So anyway, when I look at this, this is exactly what the residents of this community have been asking for, and we're moving quite a ways away from town here. So if for that type of application that would come down later on.
I have another question for staff. Do you foresee the intent of the I-3 is going to be on both sides of the corridor? It's not only going to be north, it's also streaming south as well. There's already I-3 down there, but all of that land that is not being used and is federally owned, do you foresee a majority of these zone changes coming in for I-3 in this area?
I guess we can't see the future, but again, if it's out of that area that the master plan doesn't designate as potential industrial, then we would probably recommend that as a denial, because again, that's not where we want the industrial. We've done the work to say we want the industrial parcels to be north of town along 80, north of Hazen. That's where we want industrial. And that's, as you can see, the yellow areas, that's where we have industrial. There's a little section of land, I guess, a little closer to town that's industrial, potentially industrial, but again, if it's not in a designated area as designated in the master plan, then we would probably recommend that for a denial because it doesn't follow the master plan.
Thank you. Is there anything else from the board? Seeing that there is none, can I open it up to the public? I'd like to remind the public that it is limited to 3 minutes per person speaking. Is there anyone that'd like to state a public comment? I know you've been up once before, but we'll need your name and address for the record, please.
Michelle Anderson, 3355 Beverly Drive. I submitted documents previous asking questions. One of the questions that wasn't answered, where maybe we can get an answer from Rivian, is what type of destructive battery testing are they wanting to do out in this I-3 zone change?
I don't know that anything has been submitted at this time, but we'll turn that over to staff to answer, please.
I would
Or,
like
you
to
know what?
remind the
I'm
Planning
sorry, I don't
Commission-
want to take away your 3 minutes. We'll start the clock for your 3 minutes and ask all your questions, and then we can have staff direct it after that. I'm sorry. Go ahead and start the clock, please.
I would like to remind the Planning Commission that the reason for the change on this zoning change application is destructive battery testing. And with Rivian, that's usually lithium. Okay, so I've already submitted written comments, which I would like the board to address before making a recommendation. And so I won't repeat myself tonight, but I do want to ask you to consider something when this application is before you. Please don't look at this simply as another request to change a piece of property from RR20 to I3 industrial. Churchill County is seeing multiple industrial and high-energy projects proposed. At some point, we have to stop looking at each project in isolation and look at it in cumulative impact and how that will be on our power, infrastructure, water, emergency services, environmental, neighborhood properties, etc. The board has already stated previously, the commissioners board, that we don't have enough emergency services. We already have a battery storage facility out here, a data center, which has been changed to I3 for data center planning, among Tesla testing already. So I'm also concerned about what battery testing actually means. Will this facility conduct destructive or abuse testing? What happens if a test results in thermal runaway or a fire that exceeds the containment? We've seen the communities, including Monterey, deal with the consequences of major lithium-ion battery fires. So while those facilities are not identical to what is proposed here, they could be, and that demonstrates why the risks deserve serious consideration. Before changing rural residential land to heavy industrial, we should know what types of and quantities of batteries will be on site, what testing will occur, what fire suppression and environmental containment should and will be provided, and whether our local emergency services have the staffing, training, equipment, and resources to handle a worst-case scenario. And there is another important issue. This zoning decision outlives Rivian. Once RR20 becomes I3, we need to consider everything that heavy industrial zoning could allow there in the future, not just the applicant standing before us today. I'm not against the growth. I am asking for responsible, sustainable growth, and please require the appropriate studies, evaluate this against our master plan, providing meaningful public notice, and make sure that these questions are answered before recommending a permanent zoning change. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Is there any other public comment at this time? Seeing that there is none, staff, would you like to address any questions? How about to the board? Does the board have anything to state or add?
Dennis Mills for the record. Ms. Anderson, I really appreciate your comments. I will say I'm a little bit confused because it kind of sounds like your Rivian's coming to us for a first or second date, and you're asking what their intentions are once we get married. There's additional rounds of approval for anybody that wants to establish a new business in this county. So all the things you're asking are things that I've only been on this board for a matter of months, so I can't speak as someone with the background that Jeff does, for example, but I've seen other requests come through just in the last 7 months that all of those questions are addressed in the relative industrial challenge that those other companies have asked for. So I just want anyone that's listening to be aware this isn't something we're ignoring, we're not rubber stamping. On the other hand, this company physically owns this land. This land under the master plan, with very careful development over the last 20 years, the county wants this area to be a location for I-3. So to my mind, we'd be kind of bonkers to say, well, you can't change this RR20 to I-3 because of what might happen to it. The purpose is if someone thinks they have a reason to shift to I-3, that's what we want them to do. So just as a comment to everyone, that I don't want anyone to think that we're doing this stuff lightly, but from my perspective, I don't see the reason to be asking these questions now.
If I may, just as an aside, we don't necessarily have a discussion about public comment. That may be more appropriate for the board discussion.
Thank you. Did you want to add anything, staff?
Yeah. Again, I just want to reemphasize that the current zoning of this is an RR20. We don't have. They did put a proposed use in the application as battery testing. Unfortunately, at the time of a zone change, we don't require all the same reports and applications and everything that goes along with the use of the proposed use. So we can't analyze that right now because again, that takes time and money for them to prepare that. And this isn't the time for the use, it's the time for the zone change to be able to do the use, right? And it's not just this battery testing, it's an industrial use that can be done out there with the zone change.
Just to add to that, we frequently have zone changes, the economy changes, a project doesn't get developed even though they went through a zone change. The menu of uses that are available within that zone change is what we're considering. And what we're considering is effectively this has got reasonable infrastructure given the zoning that we're looking for out here. It meets the intent of the master plan and is not going to be impacting neighboring properties. Those are the three things that we're looking at the zone change phase because those are what we can actually evaluate. When we start looking at the specific site circumstances, we're going to be looking at everything that affects neighboring public health, safety, welfare, all the things that go into the special use permit findings. Likewise, when somebody comes in for a division of land, what we're looking at there is what are the infrastructure requirements? How is that going to impact public health, safety, welfare? And how does that tie back to the master plan? So every step of making sure the public is protected is addressed through a different type of application phase. So just want to make that clear.
Thank you. And I want to also thank staff for doing so much diligent work when there is an application that does come forward. I know a lot of applications do come forward and they never go anywhere because of your strict restrictions that you do put on them. So thank you for that. Seeing that there was no more public comment, is there anything else from the board? No, once you do your public comment under an item, you get one time to speak per item and per public comment. Did you have something else?
Nope.
Okay. Wonderful. I would like to entertain a motion, please.
Madam Chairman, Jeff Goings for the record. Based on the information provided in the application, the staff report heard tonight, I move to find that the criteria found in CCC 16.08.060E have been met for zone change applications, ZC 26-2 to change the zoning of 218.57 acre parcel from RR20 to I3 as assessor's parcel number 004-431-44, and therefore recommend that the Board of County Commissioners approve the zone change application.
Second.
We have a first with Commissioner Goings, a second with Commissioner Ansotagi. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The variance will pass 6-0. Item number 9 is consent agenda. All matters listed on the consent agenda are considered routine and may be acted upon by the Board of County Commissioners with one action and without any extensive hearing. Any member of the board or any citizen may request that an item be taken off the consent agenda, discussed and acted upon separately during this meeting. We do have several items on the consent agenda. A, B, and C. Is there anyone that would like to act on or pull those out? If not, can we get a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted?
Madam Chair, Joe Frey for the record. I move to accept the consent agenda as posted.
Second.
We have a first by Commissioner Frey, a second by Commissioner Mills. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? That'll pass 6-0. Item number 10 is consider future agenda items. Is there any items that you guys would like to add to the agenda or future agenda at this time?
Madam Chair, Joe Frey for the record.
Yes.
I would like to consider adding, based on the public comment earlier this evening, that we start posting the meetings on Facebook and some other medias besides just the newspaper.
Mr. Mills?
Yeah, I would just note that this is published on the county's website under the government tab, along with it's even got a little calendar on there with a link to the agenda and the agenda packet that comes in there, and that's published at the same time the notice goes up. And so that is online for everybody to look at. And so just so that you're aware, you may not be aware of that, but I just wanted to put that on the record that that is posted online every time.
So as a clarification on that, Diane, can you go ahead? We have it on the website that was just clarified. You guys also post it in 3 public places, the newspaper. Can you explain all that you do for postings, please?
There are only a few that are published in the legal notices in the paper. Zone change, ordinance amendments, and abandonment of roads are published in the newspaper. Not all applications are, at least not for the Planning Commission. But landowner notifications are made to everyone around that area, and we do publish on our website. There is also one that is posted in the kiosk outside of this commission chambers.
Thank you. Can I resort to council again in regards to only certain items being posted? Is there a way to post publicly in the papers, or is there no need except for those items according to a certain code? Could you please clarify?
Well, we post as required by law. And so, and as you can imagine, those are things that, when we post, it's required by law. And so, but we go above and beyond on some of these other things as far as posting on the website.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Here. There is also a requirement for all boards throughout the state to post their agenda, link it to a state site, and they can go find any meeting, any board or committee or anything throughout the whole state at that level.
And we are currently posting on the state site as well. Wonderful. Thank you. Does that help answer or add any future items, Mr. Commissioner Frey?
That does, but I think I'd still like to have the discussion. I'd like to think about it and then have the discussion about posting it on social media, maybe just different agendas, whether it be Planning Commission, Board of County Commissioners, Library Board, just something on the county's Facebook page. And I am not at all an expert of talking about this because I don't have social media myself or much of it. So, but I do think that's where most people get their news, and I do think it would be nice just to at least get it in front of their faces a little bit more, maybe not just the details, but just at least so that people are aware that, hey, there is going to be a planning commission meeting on this day, and here's the agenda if you want to look for it. Or go to the county website under the government tab, and you will find all the information that you need. And maybe that's as simple as that, but I would like to have that discussion after we've all had some time to think about it, and maybe, staff think about it, and we can discuss that at a future meeting, please.
All right, I'm going to put that one on you to go ahead and speak with staff and also council and see what you might be able to put forth into another future agenda item on a future meeting.
I will handle that, thank you.
Item number 11 is schedule future workshop. I know that there's one coming up. If you can turn that over to staff for you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On August 25th, we have a PUD conceptual workshop. It's for a development over there on the Casey Road, along Casey Road, in between Casey Road and Walmart. They're proposing to put in I think 128-room hotel, I think 5 commercial pads for, future restaurants or whatever use they want to put there. And then there's a section of R2 for multifamily. They're doing a PUD because they're doing several different uses in there. They're required by code to have a conceptual workshop, and it'll follow up with the presentation to the Planning Commission for that PUD on the September meeting. We also have a joint workshop with the Board of County Commissioners on September 16th. That will be for some proposed code changes related to landscaping requirements, screening requirements, Connex box requirements, and we're going to start the discussion about our temporary use permits and how we want to handle those going forward. So that'll be a joint workshop because we want to have the Board of County Commissioners there for their input as well. And that's it for now.
Thank you. So again, August 25th, 6 p.m. is a PUD workshop. And then there's another one in September. In addition to our regular public meeting, it'll be September 16th at 6 p.m. for proposed code changes. All these are public meetings. We welcome everybody to come. We love that we have an audience. It doesn't happen very often, but when we do, we love that you want to come and hear from us. So thank you. Item number 12 is commissioner reports and updates. On this commissioner report, I'd like to state that we did have 5 applicants that came forward for the position that was open on the Planning Commission board. We did do interviews according to the bylaws, and we did select our newest member, Rochelle Tisdale. We would like to welcome her, and we'll continue to go through training. We'll be at all these meetings. And is there any other commissioner reports or updates that you guys would like to add? Seeing that there is none, is there any public comment?
Michelle Anderson, 3355 Beverly Drive. Good evening again. I have one suggestion I'd like the Planning Commission to consider regarding future zone change applications. When an applicant requests a zoning change, the application requires them to state the reason for that requested change. I believe that reason should become a meaningful part of the Commission's consideration when deciding whether to recommend rezoning. A zone change shouldn't be considered only as, is I-3 allowed here? Or does this parcel qualify for the zoning? If an applicant is asking to change the zoning specifically to accommodate a particular project or use, I believe the Commission should also consider the impacts of that proposed use when determining whether the zoning change is appropriate. I understand that zoning stays with the land and that a future owner may use the property differently. In fact, I think that's another reason these decisions deserve careful consideration. But if the county requires applicants to explain why they want a zoning change, that information should have a purpose in the decision-making process. My suggestion is that the Planning Commission and county consider formally incorporating the applicant's stated reason for the zone change, that foreseeable impacts of that proposed use and its compatibility with surrounding properties and the master plan into the review of future zoning changes. I think that would lead to better land use decisions and give the public greater confidence that we're considering not just what a property can be zoned for, but why we're changing it in the first place. Thank you.
Thank you for your time and your comments this evening. Is there any other public comment? Seeing that there is none, this meeting is adjourned.